Without taking more time, we want to look at the saga that is ongoing in Osun State as regards the withholding of the funds of the local government in Osun State by the federal government. As we all know, the dispute has been between the PDP and the APC mainly. There was an election that was conducted in 2022, and that election was finally, the winners were sacked by the order of the court. And sometime this year, another election was conducted, and the winners were mainly PDP candidates. And then the federal government has withheld the local government funds for Osun State. And the battle has been going back and forth as to the constitutionally or otherwise of this. So what do you have to say on this?
Well, thank you very much. It's a drama that is not different from what we had witnessed over the years in the past. This is not the first time that the federal government will be withholding the allocation to a state. And it's almost becoming a general pattern in our polity. It's the expression of the over-politicization, what I call the over-politicization of governance in Nigeria. It's a nation where people have gained so much power to themselves that they do not understand the legal threshold that is put in place under the Constitution, whether or not they have that power to exercise that power of seizure or withdrawal or even delay of allocation to a state. There is no basis under our Constitution for the federal government to withhold the allocation to a state for whatever reason. For whatever reason. The only condition, like we had the example, if we are to x-ray the first example that we had, that of during Obasanjo, General Obasanjo's, President Obasanjo's regime, that of Lagos State, the withdrawal of allocation to Lagos State.
Yes.
That was done at that time because of the unconstitutionality of the creation of the local government or the procedure that was used in creating local government in Lagos State. And the fact that the Constitution had already stipulated the number of local governments allocated to each state under the Constitution, under the schedule to the Constitution.
Yes.
And there was no bill to amend the Constitution at that time. And of course, you remember that even when that case went to court, the Supreme Court came in and made a decision that those local governments that were created in Lagos State are inchoate.
Yes.
And to that extent, they are not alive until the National Assembly recognize and pass the proper legislation to validate what had been done by the state. Yes, the state have the right to create local government, but they still have to comply with the provision of the Constitution that relates to the recognition
local government.
Of local government. And that was the reason why it was withheld. But we are having a situation where federal government is now tyrannically and despotically, turning itself into an overlord over the state. Yes, but for political reasons.
The argument from the other side is
not for legal reasons.
The argument from the other side is this: that when during the tenure of the current president as governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as governor of Lagos State, the federal government then withheld the allocation meant for Lagos State. The Supreme Court said that the federal government has no powers to withhold the allocation meant for the 20 local governments in Lagos State.
Yes, the recognized local government. Yes.
But for the other ones that were not created in accordance with the extra provisions of the Constitution, that one cannot be allocated any funds at all.
Yes.
Now we also know that in Abia State against AG Federation,
yes, Attorney General of the Federation.
Yes. That the Supreme Court have maintained that same position.
Yes.
And of course, we're also aware that Supreme Court during this current regime has said that every local government must have democratically elected local government officials to qualify for allocation of funds
under Section 4
from the federation account.
Yes.
Now, what is playing out in Osun State is now a situation whereby one group is saying that currently there's no duly elected local government officials in Osun State, that even the civil servants are on strike since February this year, and for that reason there's nobody that the funds could be released to, and that the fund should not be released to the state government because by reason of the judgment of the Supreme Court in AG Federation against the age-old 36 states, it is only the local governments that are to receive the funds in the accounts of the state local government. And any state that does not have elected local government, that there will be no allocation to the local government councils in that state. Now, in Osun State, local government election was conducted in February, and the winners emerged from the People's Democratic Party.
Yes.
And then they are demanding for the release of the funds. But some are saying that it is the governor who is championing the demand for the release, but it's not meant to be released to the governor because it's meant for the local government council.
Now, it doesn't make any difference. The argument is non sequitur as far as I'm concerned. Because obviously what the federal government should do, if they are agreed as to the status of those local government or the election that brought in those elected officers, what they should do is to go to the Supreme Court to ask for an order or to make a directive on what should be done before withholding the allocation. They do not have that power unilaterally to withhold an allocation that is due to a particular state or to a particular local government within the federative unit. It's a violation of the rights of the people of that local government, people of that state, because the allocation is not for the government, is not for the local government chairman, but is for the people of that state. So it's a denial of the right of the people of that state. And I think it's in that dimension that the legality, the question of legality will be looked at. Here the constitution says there must be a democratically elected local government. But if there is no democratically elected local government in a place, the federal government will require an order of the court to be able to say, let the court tell us, can we decide or can we release this money to the state in view of the fact of section so of the constitution, which requires that the local government and state it, and the court will make an order. But what they are doing now is an arbitrary exercise of power that they do not have. They don't have that power on their own unilaterally to determine. You are raising an allegation against a state, you are the one raising the allegation, you are the one determining the legal status on your own, you are the one exerting the punitive measure of withdrawal of that allocation, and you are depriving the people of that state of the allocation that is due to them, legally speaking, under the extant law and the provisions of the constitution. So to that extent, it is illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's an abridgment of the rights of the people, and is a violation of the provision of the constitution.
Now, the two main contending parties, the APC and the PDP, have each been claiming that they are the rightful ones entitled to the fund. But you and I know that the funds are not meant for political parties.
Of course not.
They are meant for local government councils. And the funds for the local government councils in Osun State is meant to be released to the local government council. And since election have been duly conducted, and as far as we know, there's no judgment or order nullifying the election that has been conducted, then there appears to be no legitimate constitutional reason why that fund
obviously yes
has not been released.
Obviously, and I want to say that it is unfortunate that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the one doing this. It's really unfortunate. Well, and it's a very wrong view of politicking. Now let me say this: it was this same president that had a problem with the federal government when the issue of withdrawal of Lagos State allocation was in place. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was governor of the state as at that time. And he was so bitter about the federal government withholding the allocation to the state where he was a governor at that time. And I remember they went as far as Supreme Court on that issue.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate now that having been the president of the country, he himself should be doing the same thing that he fought against when he was governor of a state. And it tells us the kind of caliber of people that we are having in governance today.
Well, but if we look at the other side of the coin, I don't think that the drama playing in Osun State is contributed to by PDP and APC.
That's why I said earlier on, yes.
Another party, APP, because from what we know, PDP went to court to challenge the election of 2022, and another party, APP, equally went to court to challenge it. And at the end of the day, the Court of Appeal, said that the suit by PDP was premature and that there was no locus standi to institute the action. And that suit was filed before an amendment was made in terms of the electoral laws.
Yes, the 2022 electoral law.
Now, the other party that went to court, the APP that went to court, and in both suits, the courts sacked the people that were elected, the people that were elected, they sacked them.
Yes.
Then, when judgment was the judgment gotten by APP, APC appealed and did not take proper steps to have the record of appeal compiled and all that. Yes, and eventually the Court of Appeal was revoked by an application to have that appeal dismissed for want of diligent prosecution. And the Court of Appeal went ahead and dismissed that.
Yes, the appeal.
On grounds that there was no proper diligence prosecution of that appeal.
Yes.
Then they're returning the parties to now what we can say
the status quo ante bellum.
Yes. Now, with the election that brought in PDP candidates as winners, chairmen and councillors and so on, it appears that the correct position is that the funds ought to be released to the council in Osun State, not necessarily to the governor or the Osun State government.
Yes.
Because there is, in compliance with the Constitution of Nigeria, as well as the judgment of Supreme Court, as to duly elected.
Yes, fiscal responsibility.
Yes, duly elected the local government council.
Fiscal federalism.
Yes. So to that extent, now, do you think that there could be a political solution to this or otherwise?
Now, like I said earlier on, this is a very dirty politics that is being played out. And I will say this, looking at the background of the politics of Osun State. Of course, you know that the present governor of the state seized power from the APC.
Yes.
And there have been agitation that the APC, particularly because that is the home state of the president, that the president is interested in Osun State. And being interested in Osun State, there is an attempt to ensure that the next government of Osun State is an APC government. And you can see the way almost all the election in other parts of the country is being won by APC, and the way many people are moving into APC. So the president will not want his home state to be in the hands of any other political party other than his own party, because that is his constituency. And if you want to be president, at least you must deliver your own state. Politically, I'm talking politically.
Yes.
Now. So that may be the reason why there's so much interest now in Osun State. And of course, you know that even the governor of the state, understanding that pressure that is on the president to seize power in Osun State, also had made a kind of holy branch to the APC that they will support the president in the presidential election in 2027 But for the state and the other election, that they will do their thing, campaign against the party of the president and all that. So, and I'm sure the president will not want a situation where he only wins in that state. He will want to have a governor. And of course, you know, the present minister of Marine, Blue Ocean, was the former governor of that state. Okay? And is a relation of the president also. And a lot of information had come out that he's still interested in completing the second tenure of his office, because he only spent one tenure. Okay? And so to me, it will appear as if this may be the justification for the withdrawal of this allocation. And that's why I say this kind of, if that is so, if it is so that it is to mount pressure on the governor to ensure that that state become an APC, I think it is a wrong step for them to be.
Are you alluding to it that it is political motivated?
What I'm saying is that it's pure excessive politicking. Politicization.
That brings us
of governance.
We looked at before in this program as regards the position of the Attorney General of the Federation vis-a-vis his position also as the Minister of Justice.
Yes.
By virtue of his position as the Attorney General of the Federation, he is expected to ensure that the laws of the nation are fully complied with.
Okay. Now,
as minister,
yes,
he is there to work with the government in power. Don't you think that this show clearly brings out the reason why there's need to separate the office of the Attorney General of the Federation from that of the Minister for Justice of the Federation, so that the Attorney General, who is to crusade for the enthronement
and the protection of rights,
democracy, rule of law, and the rights of Nigerians, can be doing that for the benefit of the Federation and Nigerians in general, while the minister will now be advising the president on ministerial legal matters. Don't you think this is one of the issues that shows that there's need for that schism?
Yes, thank you very much. Over the years, we have agitated that position, and properly speaking, for a nation that has a nascent democracy the way the Nigerian transitory democracy is, we need that separation of that office, because there's a lot of things that goes on in government and in power that amounts to obvious violation of the rights of the Nigerian people. One of it is this particular incident. If you are having any clash with a governor or any problem with any governor, that is no reason to withhold the allocation to the local government in that state, because on the final note, the people that will suffer are the people of Osun State, not Governor Adeleke, not even the local government chairman, because the fund they are withholding belongs to the people. So if we have an Attorney General that is diligent and that knows what he's doing, by now some of the actions of the federal government will have been put to rest. But unfortunately, my good friend, we have had severally to call him to order on some of these positions. The Attorney General of Nigeria today, our good friend, is not doing what he's supposed to do. He is supposed to guide President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on some of these actions, and to ensure that the rule of law is followed, and that the principle of democracy, social justice, fairness, and the welfare of Nigerians should be the paramount function of his office. But there has not been any display of that in the last 2 years that President Bola Ahmed had come in. And it is unfortunate. I'm personally disappointed, because he happens to be my friend. Yes. I'm personally disappointed at the way he has been handling the office of the Attorney General, as if it doesn't exist. Politicians are taking political decisions that are legal, that are fundamentally legal. But then and nothing is done by the Attorney General. So we need to separate that office. I agree with you.
The Attorney General in this particular matter appears to have, come out to take steps that would have led to an early resolution of the matter in one of the cases pending in Osun State. Because when they filed the matter and the matter was adjourned to November, now the AG had to write that the matter be taken by the vacation judge to expedite action, so that, like you said, the people who are really suffering the brunt of this are the people of risk.
What he should do is not to be asking.
That was not done. Now, What do you think the Attorney General ought to have done that he did not do?
What he should have done is to direct the president to release the funds to the local government. That's his function. He should not even be going to court to ask something that is so patent, something that is so clear as an Attorney General. What right do they have to withhold the fund that belongs to local government in the state? Why do they need an order of the Supreme Court or any other court for that matter to release what is due to the people? Why are they holding on to the money? Is the money part of their own appropriation? Is it for the federal government? President Bola Ahmed fought this same issue when he was governor of Lagos State for many years. So why is he the one doing this same thing? Why is the Attorney General of the Federation not calling the government to order on this matter? Why is he pretending as if there is a case they have to get to court over it to determine? Why do they need the order of the Supreme Court to tell them to do the right thing?
Well, if you look at it from the other side, the people that started the whole drama are the political parties. So the president may say that, well, he's not APC, though he's a member of APC, but it's not APC per se.
Who is to release the money? Is it the APC party?
It's the Govt of the Federation.
So what are we talking about? It's between the president and the Attorney General.
Now, from what we have seen regarding this issue of withholding local government funds vis-a-vis constitutional amendment and constitutional provisions, we are aware that Section 162 is not yet amended.
Yes.
We talked about
despite the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Yes, joint account between the state and the local government. Now, what do you think should be the way forward as far as this melodrama is concerned? What should be the final way to resolve this?
The final word is that the federal government should be decent enough to follow the rule of law. Release the funds that you are holding on to. They are not your fund. They don't belong to you. It's not for the federal government nor for any of the federal government institution. This is a fund that is meant for the local government of a state. And the proper thing to do, instead of wasting the time of everybody going to court and litigating over it, is to release that fund to the state, to the people that are the owner of that fund. That's the local government. And they went to the Supreme Court to get a directive.
Is as
to
governor of Osun that
the autonomy
Senate to Supreme Court.
No, I know. I'm even saying that the Supreme Court, it was this same Attorney General that went to Supreme Court
and got judgment
concerning allocation of local government autonomy.
Yes, that's correct.
So
and to that extent, you are saying that it is proper for the funds to be released.
Exactly. Directly to the local government. So they got that order from the Supreme Court. So why are they holding on to this fund? If it is not,
in other words, it
crazy politics.
Does not matter which party won.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What is important is that there is a local government in the state, and the local government has account with the
state account. Yes,
and the money should be released.
It should be released to them. They have no reason holding on to it.
It's all right.